Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, at least one hotel is reporting almost full occupancy as the winter tourist season comes to a close. Sandals Barbados says 2017 continues to be good for the property. With the 2017 tourist season just about a month from closing, Sandals Barbados is reporting about 96% occupancy. General Manager Ferry Seafinger tells CBC News bookings have looked good throughout the season.
The high season really for Sandals starts always around the 22nd of December. And we're still in it. We're running 96% today. Yeah, slowly you will see it. It will get a little bit slower as we move forward, but we have had a fantastic high season so far, and I don't see no reason why it would be less than last year.
And he says the forward bookings are also looking solid.
I would say it's promising. Yeah, there is a lot of interest into the Sandals Barbados resort, especially with the new resort coming online on the 20th. It creates a lot of energy, not only for our guests that know Sandals. They always want to be the first coming to a new resort, but also for us working right here at the resort. It pumps the energy.
And with regards to that new resort at Dover to be called Sandals Royal Barbados, Mr. Seafinger says everything is on stream.
We're reaching almost the top of some of the high-rise buildings. It is on time. The resort is scheduled to be opened, welcoming the first guests on December 20th. We opened our booking engines already last week, and we have guests that leaving today, leaving tomorrow, that already booked their vacation. Some of them are coming back December, and when I say December, I mean this year.
He says the property is also expected to be completed within the projected budget. Barbados will have more access to travel and trade opportunities with the People's Republic of China soon. The two countries have signed off on a visa waiver agreement allowing those holding ordinary citizens' passports to travel between the two locations easier. Chinese Ambassador Wang Ke says with the agreement, Barbados can greatly benefit from an influx of Chinese tourists, but cautioned that challenges such as distance, limited flight options, and lack of sufficient marketing means it will not happen overnight. She advised Barbados to take action to overcome these challenges.
In this context, Barbados and other Caribbean countries should consider CTO to undertake on Caribbean's behalf to a comprehensive study and preparatory work so that the region can act together to develop the Chinese market.
Ambassador Wang Ke also invited Barbadians to visit China and experience Oriental culture. Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Maxine McLean, says the agreement is a milestone in relations between Barbados and China. She disclosed that Barbados, along with partners in the region, are working to take advantage of a new potential market.
We are the third in the Caribbean and 10th globally to have signed a visa waiver agreement of this type. I can assure you that we are also exploring with our CARICOM colleagues, as well as Cuba, for example, the issue of multi-destination tourism, something which I believe would become very attractive for Chinese tourists.
A number of government offices will be moving house in the near future. This revelation as Tourism Minister Richard Seeley introduced a resolution in the lower house today for the guarantee for payment of a loan from First Citizens Bank. It's to assist with the fit-out of new offices at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre. The estimated cost is $17.6 million, and Minister Seeley says government will be renting all of those proposed offices.
The Government Information Service will be on the ground floor along with the studio. The first floor will have the Ministry of the Civil Service and the Ministry of International Transport. The second floor will have the Ministry of Tourism and the Prime Minister's office. The third floor will have the Prime Minister's office and Cabinet office. And I will hasten to add that the Standing Accommodation Committee and the officials of the Ministry of Housing are still in the process of finalizing some of these arrangements in terms of how exactly the space will be allocated.
The tourism minister says the design layouts have been completed and he's pleased with the terms of the loan.
I think that getting a 10-year loan with an interest rate of 6.65 at a time like this is also an amazing achievement. As you will see in the resolution, the interest rate is prime less 1%. That's not a typographical error, Mr. Speaker. That is the actual rate that we are getting. Prime less 1% in an environment like this is quite good.
Health Minister John Boyce says the government is still struggling to find adequate space to house public officers, and it's for that reason he sees nothing wrong with borrowing money to outfit offices at the LESC. Mr. Boyce says the Barbados Ambulance Service is a prime example of a department for which a search is constantly on to find a suitable location.
Only a couple of weeks ago, we had to once again move the emergency ambulance service to a newly renovated or freshly renovated, let me say, facility at Wildy. And my checks with the staff and the management of that unit, I am satisfied that they are comfortable and that the needs of the unit are being met, and we will continue to stay on top of that in terms of delivery of that very vital service, and look for innovative ways too, sir, which to carry out that very important task.
Opposition MP for St. Michael North, Ronald Toppin, wants government to talk about how much money the LESC has made over the years. He says the government missed a major opportunity to earn money there after it changed the use from the Performing Arts Centre as it was first intended.
And you had a partially rolled up Performing Arts Centre, and they tore it down. Not only had costs been put in, but the cost of tearing it down also involved the spending of more millions. And they tore it down and decided they were going to build 81,000 square feet of commercial office space and a car park. That was 58, at a cost of some $58 million.
After the brief discussion, Parliament was adjourned for the Easter break. The MPs will meet again on April 25th. In other news now, the cost of healthy food options in Barbados is simply too high. And as Barbados continues to record alarmingly high numbers of chronic non-communicable diseases, at least one representative from the local private sector is calling on government to make healthy food easier to obtain. The view from Chairman of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industries Retail and Distribution Committee, Anthony Branker. However, he acknowledges the role of the private sector in promoting healthy lifestyles among Barbadians. And speaking at a consultation on healthy foods for Barbadians held by the National Non-Communicable Disease Commission of Barbados, he called for greater collaboration between government and the private sector to help improve the lifestyles of Barbadians.
If we are serious about developing a healthier society, Barbadians need better access to healthy, affordable food. Duties and taxes on healthy food should be minimized where possible to encourage healthy choices. Our current duty structure only makes distinction as it relates to sugar products. It does not distinguish, for example, between a brown rice and a white rice.
During the consultation, concern was expressed about the failure of a 10% tax on soft drinks aimed at discouraging its use. Consequently, Health Minister John Boyce says his ministry is looking at the possibility of doubling the tax. In addition, they're taking serious steps to ensure children are protected from the dangers of unhealthy foods while they're at school.
Will be even much easier and quicker. I'm especially concerned about children and what is available to them on a daily basis in schools and its environs. Among these would be considerations regarding the marketing of unhealthy foods to children while they're at school. Consideration would be given to a ban on the sale or promotion of sweetened beverages on the premises of our schools.
Government is being warned yet again not to ignore the response to the opposition Barbados Labour Party's recent march of disgust. Senator Reverend Dr. David Durant publicly shared the advice as he delivered today's Democratic Labour Party's lunchtime lecture.
If it was a march destroying things along the way or creating problems, then I would be the first to denounce it. But since it was peaceful, I think we just need to understand people expressing their concerns peacefully, then we need to empathize with them. You know, we need to let them know we understand. And we will do our best as a government to make sure we try to alleviate those situations that's causing distress and hardship, and to make this island a better place for all of us.
Senator Durant, who is also chairman of the National Assistance Board, says by year end, legislation should be on the cards to prevent the indiscriminate spending of senior citizens' pensions by their relatives. He says the bill has been drafted and will be heading to Parliament shortly.
What we want to do is to be able to stop the checks. Once we have taken over the individual in the care of, like the geriatric, for example, the geriatric. Right, we want to be able to stop that pension check from going to the family member, because they have no more care of the elderly. All right, and we will notify the National Insurance Scheme, because they're the ones that send those checks out. And we call the director of National Insurance and make sure the checks are stopped.
Relatives and friends of an elderly St. Philip resident are tonight in shock after an apparent robbery gone bad. It resulted in his untimely death. Kareem Smith reports.
A number of cars lined this driveway as friends, family and lawmen tried to get a better understanding of the bizarre circumstances which led to the death of 66-year-old Richard Shepherd. According to police, the incident occurred around 2 o'clock this afternoon, and Public Relations Officer Roland Cobbler says details are still sketchy.
Police received a report of a man being discovered at his residence deceased. On responding to the report, officers discovered the man lying face down in his residence. Our investigations are continuing into this matter.
But friends and neighbors believe that it was a robbery. Neighbors also revealed that Mr. Shepherd was a retired plantation manager at the Ridge Plantation in Christchurch, who was still an avid farmer who also engaged in tractor cultivation. A close friend of Mr. Shepherd described him as friendly but quiet.
I've known him to be one of the best persons that you could actually want to meet. He was a very free giver, give to many. And the poorer you are, the closer you are to him. He was that type of person.
In addition, he's particularly upset that the country's violence has spread to an innocent elderly man and wants tougher measures taken to arrest the problem.
I don't know if he probably knew the person, and that's why he had to be put down this way. So brutal, so reckless. I wish they can do something about these guns.
Although persons are saying this is another incident of gun violence, police are not confirming what murder weapon was used. According to reports, Mr. Shepherd leaves a wife, son, and daughter to mourn. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Well, meantime, police are continuing investigations into a shooting incident which has left a public service vehicle driver nursing a gunshot injury to the back. Police say 46-year-old Joel Griffith of the Crane was attempting to park the minibus around 10 minutes to 1 this morning when he was approached by an unknown man who shot him during the course of a robbery. Griffith was taken to the QEH by private vehicle for medical attention. Lawmen are asking anyone who can provide information to assist with this investigation to contact the nearest police station. We'll take a break here, but when we come back, more news.
your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153# to sign up to Digicel today.
Need affordable motor insurance? Get up to 30% off plus additional discounts for new and used vehicles. Call 436-6200 or log on to beacon.co.tt. Where you need us, when you need us.
Time's tight, Bico's price is right. Bico's Double Delight French Vanilla 1-liter ice cream is now at the unbeatable price of $17 VAT inclusive. It's Barbados' best-selling ice cream at a best-selling price, $17 VAT inclusive. This offer available from participating outlets island-wide, Bico Mobilers and the Bico Direct Outlet on Harbor Road.
Sandals, sandals, sandals galore. Megville gives you ladies sandals for this week only. Monday to Saturday, any pair of sandals for only $25. So go to Megville on Tudor Street, High Street, and Palmetto Street for any pair of sandals for only $25. This week only, Monday to Saturday.
Yo, warm to them! Yo, it's your boy Ricky Diesel. Boom, we have the girls in a pizzle, shizzle. Friday, March 31st, give me soca, bacchanal on the beach, it's gonna be crazy. Boom, and I'm gonna be there. Freaky girl, that we love. Y'all bend up, you thing on fire. Boom, boom, you thing on fire. Y'all bend up, you thing on fire. Freaky girls, give me soca, bacchanal on the beach, I'm gonna be there. Crazy.
98.1 The One is a proud sponsor of Gimme Soca.
Economist Dr. Clyde Maskell believes the private sector needs to adopt a different approach to determining how to adjust wages. The University of the West Indies Cape Hill campus lecturer says this is one of the elements required to return the economy to a path of stability and growth. He shared the view as a panelist for a discussion on the economic outlook for Barbados, organized by First Citizens Bank at the Barbados Hilton.
The private sector cannot continue to use the public sector and determine when they should increase salaries. Salary increases in the private sector should be based on the ability of them to pay, based on profitability. But what happens in this country is that the private sector looks at what is happening in the public sector before it engages in that. And you can't continue to do that if you expect to grow the economy.
Dr. Maskell says the banking sector also has a role to play by reducing the cost of capital.
In spite of the reduction in the deposit rates and some adjustments in loan rates, we know that commercial entities only act when you go and ask them to. So until you go in and negotiate and say, listen, I need my mortgage to come down because circumstances are so they're going to keep your mortgage. So who will go in? The privileged people.
The entire month of August will be a spectacular celebration of culture. This year, as Crop Over ends, Carifesta begins, and NCF Chief Executive Officer Cranston Brown says the foundation is planning for a truly amazing season.
We are working with Crop Over and Carifesta together. NCF will be putting on all the Barbadian presentations for Carifesta. So we are very much in the stage of what we call the critical stage of putting things together.
Mr. Brown says there will be more opportunities for Barbadians to earn with the extended celebrations. However, he believes the two festivals should be properly managed.
We thought that it would be wise not to try to overdo Crop Over, seeing that we are asking our neighbors in the Caribbean to come for Crop Over, maybe stay for Carifesta, or come close to the end of Crop Over and stay over. Yeah. So we are building it that way. It's going to be marketed overseas as one big cultural festival.
The Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit supports calls for employers to give ex-offenders a second chance. According to Director Cheryl Willoughby, this is one of the barriers preventing their reintegration into society.
They were not given a chance by employers to show that they have, yes, we have done something wrong, we've paid our debt to society, and we now want to make our contribution again as citizens of this great nation. And they were not being given a chance. We had employers saying, not in here. We can't risk that. And so I think what we now have to do is to look at an educational workshop where we can work with employers from across Barbados to sensitize them as to some of the areas that they can possibly examine in terms of employing persons who would have run afoul of the law, who would have gotten involved in criminal activity.
Ms. Willoughby says Barbados needs a policy that focuses on alternatives to imprisonment.
We have to look at what is out there in the international arena to determine if those models will work here in Barbados. I know Barbados is a small society. We have talked a lot in recent times about parole and whether or not persons can be given parole and still be reintegrated back into society.
Change is possible, and it starts with us. That's the message environmentalists are pushing to Barbadians as they seek to highlight the problems posed by plastics. A film called Plastic Ocean has been produced, providing some insight into what's happening with animals, particularly marine life and their consumption of plastics. Screenings are set for this weekend. Producer Tony Reed says the idea was conceptualized years ago after a team was filming blue whales in the wild.
Basically what happened when they were trying to film the whale, they were absolutely shocked at the amount of plastic that they saw in the sea. Yet they were out in the middle of clear blue sea like we see off Barbados, miles from any shipping or anything else, yet there was plastic everywhere. And that led them to all these different locations. And the film will take you through, I won't tell you all about the blue whale because I'll keep that for your viewers to see when they see the film, but it will take you through the damage that we're doing with plastic.
Sharon Lady Carmichael of Be the Change Barbados says many Barbadians are not fully aware of the impact of plastics.
We see plastic wherever we go, and we get accustomed just to seeing it and not thinking about what the impact is on the landscape, on the seascape, and whether anything can be done about it and why something should be done. We also need to think about the impact on animal life, on land and on sea.
The Barbados Renewable Energy Association is also on board with the initiative. President Aidan Rogers, who is a trustee on the Plastic Ocean Trust, says efforts continue to eliminate single-use plastic.
Particularly in terms of initiatives such as supermarket bags. Then we're going to work with other NGO organizations, the Future Center Trust, Lady Carmichael mentioned Be the Change, we have the Slow Food Movement, and others. And we're all seeking really to start a national sensitization campaign around eliminating single-use plastic and also looking at wider issues pertaining to the disposal of plastics in general. Because besides the single-use, we still have large commercial plastics that are here.
Coming up, we'll tell you about fresh developments in election petitions in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Those details after the break.